All right, hello everybody. Hey, thanks for coming. This is the full breakout as opposed to the 20-minute kind of little sessions I've been doing in the theater. This is called What's New for Windows in CSP. Some really exciting news at Inspire around Microsoft 365. I'm going to talk to you about virtualization rights. I'll talk to you about some of the things that are coming for Windows in the CSP program. That's my Twitter. It's also my alias if you put @microsoft.com at the end of it if you guys want to send me a mail or follow me and see my collection of Ninja Cat photos. But when we were here last year at Inspire 2016, we announced Windows in CSP for the first time. So that was our big news. It was very exciting. We had a lot of great coverage. I had a lot of you come up to me and say, this is great. We've been waiting for Windows in CSP for such a long time. We were excited because at the same time that we were announcing Windows in CSP, a little building across the river, Potomac River, is that right? Yeah, called the Pentagon. They had about 4 million seats of DoD employees that they were deploying Windows 10 Enterprise to. So at the same time we were announcing Windows in CSP, DoD's rolling out 4 million seats of Windows Enterprise. And so I was able to stand on stage here and say the exact same edition of Windows, the exact same security features, the exact same level of security that the individuals sitting in that building were taking advantage of, you, as our partners, could go and sell that to any single customer of any size in any region from $7 per user per month for the price of coffee and a donut. And so CSP truly gave us the ability to democratize access to what we kind of call Pentagon-grade security for businesses of any size. And you know, we've been in market now for about 9 months, and the excitement has been great. Let me show you a few numbers. This is my only numbers slide, so I'll get that out of the way with quickly. So the first one is 500 million. Hopefully you guys know that we passed that milestone, 500 million Windows 10 Windows 10 devices worldwide. That's a great number. The next one, though, which is my CSP number, this is really interesting. That is the average number of seats with Windows 10 Enterprise in CSP. So when we launched Windows in CSP, we thought that it would kind of cater towards the top end of the small business market. We thought we'd see an average size of about 100 to 150 seats. We're seeing 22, which is really interesting, because this is saying that the whole spiel I just gave of enterprise-grade security or Pentagon-grade security for businesses of any size, it's actually flowing down to the end customer. We are seeing lots and lots of businesses around 22, 25, 30, 15 seats who are coming to you guys and saying, I need enterprise-grade security. I can't qualify for an EA. I don't want to sign up for a 2 or 3 year per device software assurance agreement, but CSP works for me. And so we're actually seeing that value proposition really, truly flow down into the small business segment. So I'm very excited about that 22 number. Another couple of numbers that I'll throw at you, 2 and 12. So we recently announced that we are aligning the update, the feature update, and the quality update cadence with Office. So that means that twice a year, we're going to release a feature update for Windows 10, and that'll be in line with the Office suite. And then every month, once a month, we used to call that Patch Tuesday. We kind of still colloquially refer to it that. That's going to be our quality updates. That's when our security updates get rolled out. But that's aligned with Office, and we're going to align with SCCM, and then other parts of the business are going to all come into alignment. So you'll see this 2 feature update cadence, and then a monthly quality update cadence, and that's aligning across all our engineering orgs. And then that last stat, that 99%, I'll talk about this a bit later on in the session. That is now the percentage of Windows 7 apps compatible with Windows 10. So I want to talk a bit about Windows 7 and the existing Windows install base. I want to talk about upgrading to Windows 10. I'll do that in a few minutes. But keep that number in the back of your mind. At least 99% of Windows 7 apps are compatible with Windows 10. The ones that aren't are like these really amazing bespoke, like DOS, weird mainframe things that were, will probably never be updated, and they're just really waiting for the ISV to kind of completely rewrite. But 99% compatibility from Windows 7. So this is the 2 minutes where I do like my marketing spiel and I get a bit hyperbolic, so bear with me and then I'll actually give you some usable things. So why Windows? So we truly do start from an engineering perspective with your mission as a partner. Your mission as a partner is to enable the mission of your customers, your clients. Your customers come to you with a vision or a problem or a challenge, and your mission is to solve that, deliver something that enables them to deliver their mission. So our mission is to enable you. So it's this kind of, you guys deliver a solution that enables the end customer, the small business, to achieve their mission, and we empower you. And so we back into that. And so we kind of think of it in very loose terms, in like these three kind of challenges. Your small business customers, they want you to remove the headache of security. They want you to make technology a tool that enables them to do more and not something that's scary and a hindrance. And then they want you to get out of the way. They don't want you to take them offline. They don't want you to be in and under their feet plugging in cables. They want you to try and do stuff remote or via the cloud. But more importantly, they don't want you to be the guy that fixes the printer. They don't want you to be the person that reconnects cables that get kicked out when someone jumps under the desk. They want you as an actual true business partner who's helping them evolve their business. You are a digital transformation consultant. They want you moving away from being break-fix support. So remove the headache of security, make technology enabler, get out of the way. And so we back into these three principles, really starting with Windows 10 Pro. So if you're familiar with the Windows editions, we have kind of three primary editions. We have the Home Edition, which is for consumers. If you walk into a Best Buy store here in the US or any retail store around the world and you see a Windows PC on the shelf, it's probably running the consumer edition called Home. And that's all the features that are made for our consumers, our end users. If you are a business customer, and really a business customer of any size, you need Windows 10 Pro. I'll talk about just a second what that means. And then we have the Enterprise Edition, which is for our most sophisticated security management needs, for customers with the most sophisticated needs. Let's talk about Windows 10 Pro. So we think about Windows 10 Pro, three kind of buckets of features, three pillars. The first is security, and having comprehensive security for every business. The second is around productivity, the most productive devices and productivity experiences. And the third is around management and modern IT that grows as your business evolves. So let's just kind of double click on this a little bit. So under security, tons of fantastic security features. I'll point out just a few. Windows Hello. Has everyone at least tried once logging into their device with their face or fingerprint? I don't need to belabor this one, right? So everyone's done. So, you know, Windows Hello is this great new stack, this security stack for how you log into your device. If you don't have a camera, if you don't have a fingerprint reader, you can at the very least add a pin to any device. That fact alone, adding a pin to your device, is a second form of authentication. The device now becomes your second factor. You have your user account, your password, that's one. The device itself becomes the second factor, right? Because the pin is actually allocated to the device. So that's great. BitLocker is machine encryption. We've had that for a long time. Windows Information Protection, I've been demoing that in the booth. That is DRM attached to the file that stays with the file and is app aware. That will enable you to help with, help against data leakage. And there's a very tall gentleman who kind of lives in a white-colored house, kind of that way a little bit, who cares a lot about leakage. And so, you know, this is a tool I'm sure he would be really interested in. But I think the power of this Windows Information Protection is less about malicious leaks and more about accidental human error. This is a tool that allows you to apply DRM. That DRM stays with the document, and you can set policies that say, hey, you know, I don't want anything out of this Word document being copied into Twitter. I don't want anything being attached into an email account, et cetera, et cetera. And so a lot of the power here is less, or the opportunity here is really about protecting against human error. And then the Windows Defender Suite, which hopefully you're all aware of. When we jump into productivity, tablet mode and the amazing support we have for voice, gesture, pen and touch, Windows Ink, no one comes close. You know, Windows is the only platform that has really this, you know, the ability to interact with any device or interact with your device the way that you want. Hopefully you've all played with Windows Ink. Hopefully you all use your styluses that come with your Surface. Is everyone here, who has a Surface? Lots of Surface. Who uses their stylus and uses Windows Ink? That's really good, but really if you have a Surface and you have a stylus, you need to be using it, right? You need to take advantage of the power of Windows Ink. It's there in the device. You have it. It will make you more productive. And then the third is around about management. And for us, modern IT and modern IT that grows with your business, it's all about Azure Active Directory. Or it starts with putting your identity in the cloud. And that's really what CSP is. CSP is the ability to get rid of your on-prem domain controller, your on-prem identity, take your identity and take all of the licenses that you used to go and get 5x5 Macs and KMS and just assign them as digital entitlements to your users. And that's all powered through Azure AD. So it starts with Azure AD. We announced 2 weeks ago a fantastic new feature called Windows Autopilot. I'm going to show you a really quick walkthrough of some screenshots of that. And then we have Windows Update for Business and Microsoft Store for Business. So Windows 10 Pro, it all starts there. Those three pillars. Now, if you are an enterprise customer or if you have more sophisticated security and management needs, we have Windows 10 Enterprise E3. That's been out for about a year now. Some of the big features in that are Device Guard, which is a whitelist of apps and really just blocks anything from executing on your device, including drivers, unless it's on that whitelist. And that's really the best way to mitigate fully against malware. We can't say that it completely protects you against malware. Lawyers would not let us do that. But if you need to absolutely lock down a device to remove as much of the threat of malware as possible, what you want to do is actually make it so that the kernel cannot execute anything that isn't on a twice authenticated whitelist, and that's what Device Guard does. Credential Guard is actually a tool that's designed for businesses that have hybrid identity. They have on-prem identity controller as well as identity in the cloud, and we make sure if there's a compromise that we're actually keeping those identities safe. And then managed user experience, again, is a feature that helps to configure parts of the UX, components of the OS for very specific needs. And then we have the Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection, which is our top SKU, our top offering. And that includes everything in E3. We call that Windows 10 Enterprise E5. And Windows 10 Enterprise E5 includes everything in E3 plus Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. So that is built very much for our biggest, largest, most sophisticated customers that have a need for like 24/7 SecOps, that need to monitor all of the endpoints on their network, as I said, 24/7, round the clock, and have very constant threat protection and threat response. Over time, we want to take the capabilities of that and make it more accessible to smaller customers. At the moment, that offering is really catered more to our largest customers. Let me talk to you about Autopilot. Now, I see a few faces that have been in the booth. I apologize, I'm going to do the same slides there, but bear with me. You can have a second pair of socks, even if I gave you a pair in the booth. I promise you can. So Autopilot kind of does three things. First of all, it speeds up, or it kind of reduces the amount of time it takes for you to get a new device online and up and running. Second of all, it removes a lot of the potential for human error if the user clicks the wrong thing through Ubi and accidentally said it's a consumer device versus a business device. But the third thing that Autopilot does, and I'm not sure if the guys from the engineering team are here, but I was talking to them yesterday. Our engineering team that built Autopilot have this genuine passion. They want people to love the experience of turning on a new computer for the first time. They want to mirror the feeling of getting the keys from the dealer and sitting in your brand new car and turning it on for the first time. At the moment, most of us get kind of daunted when we get a new laptop and turn it on, and we have to go through that process of putting in the new settings and selecting language and well, what do I do for security? Do I want to turn on this encryption thing, or what do I do? And if you don't have a detailed 3-page printout from your IT team, it can be really quite stressful. They want to get rid of all that. Autopilot does it, and eventually they want to get to the point where people enjoy the process of turning on a computer for the first time. So visualize for me, you've gone and bought, let's use the example of 5 new Surface Pro devices, and as part of the actual transaction, you're buying them, the Surfaces are in the cart, you've added them to the cart, you've clicked the button, you've entered in payment details or purchase order details, whatever, and you've hit complete. As part of that process, the device IDs for those 5 devices get actually put into Azure Active Directory and assigned to the tenant, assigned to the customer tenant. Right? So you have your small business customer called Contoso. They've got 25 seats. Their tenant's already created. They've just bought these 5 new devices. As part of the transaction, those 5 device IDs are automatically put into the tenant. So that's the starting point. So these screenshots pick up where the device has arrived direct from the distributor or direct from wherever it starts from. No one's touched it. It's literally still in the shrink wrap. You pull it out of the box, you open the lid, you press the power button, and this is the experience. This is live now. This is live right now. None of this is coming. It's actually live right now. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to select your language. Here we'll do English in this example. Next thing you do is your region. We'll do the US. That's click 2, by the way, if you're counting. The third thing is you're going to do your keyboard. So I'll do US. If you have a second language you want to type in, I know many of you do, you can have a second language here at the UB experience. Next thing you're doing is you're connecting to the network. So if you're wired, then if you're already connected, you're fine. Otherwise, you're going to enter your username and you're going to enter your password. And that's it. At that point, the device, the first thing it does is it goes and talks to AAD. And it says, AAD, I have a new device here. Here is the device ID. And Azure Active Directory goes, oh, I know that ID. I know that unique hash. And it says, I've got a tenant in my Azure Active Directory service that ID belongs to. And that tenant is called contoso.com. And it says, hey, sign in with your Contoso user account. And you put in your user account, and you put in your password, and that's it. That's Ubi done. And at that point, Autopilot hands off, and now the device is now enrolled in AAD, and now all of the MDM policies are flowing down to that device. And so when it lands in the desktop a few minutes later and looks like that, that's it. You're set up. Device is enrolled. All of the MDM policies have come down. There's nothing more to set up. Well, that's not entirely true. If you buy, or if your customer has Microsoft 365 Business, which I'll talk about in just a second, not only do we get you to this point, we auto-install Office. Office is pre-installed. All of the apps, the desktop apps, pre-installed. The only thing you need to do to start being productive, open the app, and away you go. So with Autopilot, and especially Microsoft 365 Business, you can literally take a brand new device out of the box, never been touched since it left the factory floor, and in less than an hour, you can be productive in the Office suite, sending mail, everything's set up, and you're securely set up through all of the MDM enrollment. So we think that's a really powerful tool. So that's leading me now into the kind of the matrix, if you will, although it's not as sophisticated as that, of all the offerings that we have for Windows and CSP. So I'll go through this fairly quickly. When, for the past 20 years, we thought about the SMB segment based on seats. How many seats did you have? That determined what we sold you. Also determined what volume licensing program that you could buy in, right? Could you buy in Open? Could you buy in Select? Could you buy in EA? With CSP, we no longer think about seats. We think about seats, but we think about a second axis, which is security needs and IT complexity. CSP does not have a seat minimum. The CSP program doesn't have a seat max. Some SKUs do. Some offerings do actually have a seat maximum. Microsoft 365 Business does, and I'll talk about that a bit later. But it now means that it doesn't matter where you fall on the continuum. You could be a 2-person business with a US Department of Defense contract and therefore insane security requirements, or you could be a 300-seat business with a maybe you're a lawn mowing company that has very, very kind of typical or basic kind of IT and security needs. And so we now allow you to kind of move along the XY axis and have options for everybody. So first of all, it starts with Windows 10 Pro. As I mentioned earlier, the best way to get Windows 10 Pro is really with a new device. Now, Windows 10 Pro technically will install on Vista-era hardware, XP-era hardware. I'm sure if you have an XP machine sitting in a cupboard somewhere gathering dust, you could probably get Windows 10 installed on it. Now, I'm guaranteeing that device does not have Windows Hello. It might have a pen, some kind of old capacitive touch input, right? And that actually probably would work. But the reality is, while you can run Windows 10 on hardware that's up to 10 or even 15 years old, the best experience is on modern hardware. Anything that's about 24 months old or newer. And so, again, Windows 10 Pro, everything starts there, and the best experiences are on new devices. But last year, when we announced Windows 10 and CSP, that really gave us 2 offerings. It gave us Windows 10 Enterprise standalone, again, available to be sold to businesses of any size. And then that actually completed the trifecta. Our sisters and brothers and sisters in Office and EMS were already in CSP. We were the last to join the party. But that meant that the Secure Productive Enterprise bundle, we could now sell that through CSP. So that was an exciting time for us. We did research with partners and with customers and research firms. And I'm just going to just go back one slide. And we kind of worked out, all right, so who is this for? Who is the Windows 10 Enterprise offering, or who is Secure Productive Enterprising for? And so we found out there are 3 types of businesses. Businesses that access, process, or store highly sensitive client data. financial data, legal data, anything that has high value from a PII perspective, anything that could potentially want to be stolen by a nefarious actor. Any company that's in a heavily regulated industry, including companies that are publicly listed. And then the third category was businesses that create and monetize intellectual property that's stored digitally. Now, we used to just say that was ISVs. That was companies that build software. And that is definitely true. What we found, though, is it's much more than that. Any company that is in the financial services industry, and what they sell is actually really access to a complex financial model that they own and they develop, and that's what they monetize, that thing's in Excel, or it's in a database, or it's in a digital format that they need to protect. Any tool and die manufacturer out there that uses digital CNC machines, they're relying on AutoCAD. They're relying on software that creates these kind of digital files in order to actually physically manufacture the thing that they have. They have to keep this stuff protected. And so when we did some sizing, we found out that when you add up these three segments, it's about 30% of the market. And so we kind of drew this line on our little XY axis, and we said, hey, if you're in the top 30% of security needs and IT complexity, Enterprise Edition is for you. And we think that that Secure Productive Enterprise is really the best experience, the best of Office, Windows, and EMS. We didn't really have anything in the bottom 70%. We had a great Windows 10 Pro device, and that's important. And Office had Office 365 Business and Business Premium, and those are really successful products, and most small businesses run Office 365. But from a Windows perspective, we kind of said goodbye to you once you bought that Windows 10 device. So as part of this Microsoft 365 initiative, we did a couple things. I don't know if you saw that. So the first thing we did is we renamed Secure Productive Enterprise. Oh, I did it. Oops, I'm going backwards. To Microsoft 365 Enterprise. And we have really formed a new kind of strategic alliance with the engineering teams of Office, Windows, and EMS to further and better integrate those products. Previously, they were a licensing bundle. It was 3 independent SKUs. You bought them together, you got a discount. You could unpack them and repack them together, and you would be able to get the end result. Moving forward, we will be investing in Microsoft 365 Enterprise as a solution where the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And so you'll start to see that when you lead with Microsoft 365 Enterprise, as opposed to buying the 3 individual parts individually, you actually get a more complete solution. But again, missing in that bottom 70%. And so that's where Microsoft 365 Business comes in. This was us partnering with Office, partnering with EMS, and saying, hey, we feel really good about the top 30% of SMB. We feel really good about SMBs that function like enterprises and have the needs of enterprises. What do we do about the bottom 70%? So, the best way to explain what Microsoft 365 Business is, I think, is to go through this little story. So, consider your typical small business. It started with maybe 3 people at a kitchen table. It's grown over the years. It's now 20, 30, 40 people. They're in a small office. They're doing really well. It's really exciting. They're growing like crazy. But they've grown kind of very sporadically. It's been very ad hoc. And so over the years, a new person comes and they go, oh, you need a computer, and they run down to Best Buy, they buy something, and then someone says, no, we should be a bit more thoughtful about this, and they get on the phone to CDW and they get 2 or 3 new PCs, and then this kind of happens over time, and so you get this very, very fragmented environment. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. I'm sure you see it every single day. You see Windows 7, Windows 10, 8.1, you see it kind of mixed throughout. You see a combination of Office 2010, Office 365. You see some boxed product. You see some online subscription. You see some free trials that came with the device. That's fine. We can work with that. But then in this scenario, you go to the business owner and you say, hey, tell me about your IT. Like, just tell me about what are you running? The people that are sitting at the desks, people that are out in the field, do they have a laptop? Yeah, they got a laptop. What's on their laptop? Windows. Oh, what version of Windows? I don't really know. Okay, is it up to date? I think it's up to date. I'm not really sure. Okay, how about Office? Yep, we've got Office. What version? Don't know. Is it up to date? Not sure. Do your employees have business files on their phones? Probably. Do you have any security policies enforced? No idea. And at this point, this person is very nervous, right? And so that's where you guys come in and you say, cool, I got this new thing. It's called Microsoft 365 Business. It is going to standardize your entire workforce on Windows 10, on Office 365, and we're going to do a bunch of really cool stuff. So if you have devices that are already on Windows, or sorry, that are still on Windows 7 or 8.1 Pro, first thing we're going to do, upgrade them to Windows 10. Second thing we're going to do is standardize everyone on Office 365 Business Premium. So that's the full Office 2016 suite, so the desktop apps, it's the modern UWP apps, it's the online services, and it's the new SMB apps as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to automatically configure about 15 security policies via MDM that we kind of consider like the core baseline security set for small business. Simple things. We're going to make sure Windows Update is turned on and the user can't turn it off. We're going to make sure that Windows Defender is turned on, the user can't turn it off. We're going to turn on Windows Information Protection. So that new feature that I showed earlier is ready to be fully configured by the partner. We're going to set it up so that when you add a new device into the business, you're using that autopilot feature. You're auto-enrolling the device, you're auto-installing Office. We're going to make sure that for all your iOS and Android devices, we give you app and file control. If a device is lost, we'll give you the ability to remote wipe all business files off that device. And then finally, we're going to take all of that and put all of those levers into a relatively easy to use web portal. So instead of giving you a full EMS subscription, instead of giving you full Intune, we've taken all of the Intune functionality necessary to control this, and we've put it into a web portal that's accessed through Office 365. So this is the complete solution that you can take in to that small business with the fragmented Office, the fragmented Windows, no idea what their security policies are, no idea if there are business files on end user devices. And you can say, hey, for peace of mind, for only $20 per user per month from a licensing perspective, sold per user per month, right? So you have the CSP flexibility. We can get you completely standardized. We can get you up to speed. We can get your security headache taken care of. And then you, as the partner, can start to add in your managed services and really become truly an IT consultant, as opposed to someone that's doing break-fix support or just kind of putting out the latest fire. And so we think this is a very, very powerful opportunity for you guys to address what we kind of thought was that somewhat underserved bottom 70%, at least from a Windows perspective, the SMB market. So when we go to market with Microsoft 365 Business, we're not going to do it as Windows. We're not going to do it as Office. We're not going to do it as EMS. We're going to do it as Microsoft. This will be Microsoft 365 Business. It's a single integrated solution. It's purpose-built for business. It truly is. We're not just shoehorning an enterprise experience down into small business. It's powered by Office and Windows. And so you'll see us use this language. It's about achieving more, anywhere it matters, always on security, simplified for business. And then for you guys, this should be a much easier sell. It's a fully integrated offering. It's one SKU in CSP. And so in theory, we are significantly simplifying the actual sales motion. We're significantly simplifying the management experience. We're significantly removing the amount of time it's going to take for you to set up and manage these customers. And so in theory, that's going to open up a huge range of opportunity to customers where perhaps all you were selling was a Windows 10 Pro device and maybe just an Office 365 subscription. So we really think this will help you guys expand managed service practicing into small business. And we have a free preview going on. This is pretty cool. So if you go down to the Microsoft 365 booth, look for like a little hut thing that says Microsoft 365 Business, and we're signing partners up for the preview. So between now, August 2nd, and when Microsoft 365 goes live at GA, which we think is about September, October, you can sign up for a free SKU. So your customers can actually experience the Microsoft 365 Business product right now. There might be a few kinks, but it's pretty solid, totally free until we hit GA. So that's $20 per user per month value for any seat, and that goes all the way through to till general availability. So that's pretty exciting. I urge you to go and sign up for the preview. The next piece of news that we had here at Inspire was around virtualization use rights. So when we launched Windows in CSP in September of last year, we actually didn't have the technical ability to deliver virtualization use rights. And virtualization use rights are a benefit of software assurance, or at least they were a benefit of software assurance. If you signed up for a software assurance agreement in the open program, those licenses were device-based, but we gave you virtualization use rights, which means that you could utilize virtualization, you could utilize a VM of that license with a hoster that had dedicated hardware. And really the first thing that I heard from many of you in this room last year was, when do I get virtualization use rights? I need VDI. I develop the solutions that I bring to market to my customers rely on VDI, rely on virtualization. And so it wasn't all of you. It was, it was a subset, but I know for some of you that need virtualization, this is pretty exciting. So these will be in the August price list. They're going to go live September the 6th. We're going to have two options. We're going to have Windows 10 Enterprise E3 local, or local install rights only. That's going to remain at $7 per user per month. So if you have customers that don't need virtualization, totally fine. You don't need to sell it to them. That'll remain at $7. If you do have customers that need virtualization, we're going to give you an option for both E3, E5. We'll have what we call a VDA license, which actually does not require a Windows 10 Pro device. And then if you are selling in the full Microsoft 365 Enterprise offering, both E3 and E5, we're going to add virtualization rights at no extra cost. So again, not everyone asked for this, but there was a very subset of partners that were very vocal and had a hard reliance on virtualization use rights, so we're very, very excited to bring that into market. This is a table that kind of shows what you can do with each SKU based on the hoster type, and I'll get to it on the next slide, but there's a thing on the far right-hand side, QMTH. That stands for Qualified Multi-Tenant Hoster. So the first thing is, with these new virtualization use rights in CSP, that means that you can spin up enterprise VMs and go host them in Azure. And you can do that per user per month, right? So you can pay for your consumption charges through CSP, your compute charges through CSP, and you can actually do the licensing per user per month in CSP. But you can also use third parties. And so we're launching a new program that's called the Qualified Multi-Tenant Hosting Partner Program, QMTXYZ underscore emoji. That's the acronym, that's the full acronym. And so that means that partners that are direct CSPs and also in SPLA can sign up to be a qualified multi-tenant hoster. And that means, so some of you guys obviously could go do that if you're in the SPLA program and also a direct CSP. And that means that you can actually have your clients host these new enterprise VMs that are licensed through a CSP subscription in your data centers. That used to require dedicated hardware. We're now enabling that on multi-tenant too. So that obviously reduces the cost and helps a lot for third-party hosters. So that brings me to really the big question, which hopefully has been answered, but I will kind of address it. Open or CSP? You guys have been selling Windows through Open for collectively 20 years, however long the Open program's been running. We have a goal, and I think we're very close to achieving it, of reaching parity with Open and then just blowing past Open in terms of what Windows and CSP can do. So if you look at the left-hand side, I'm sorry it's an eye chart, but if you look at the left-hand side, that's the old way that you would go and sell volume licensing, especially the Enterprise Edition to small business. It's the Open program. You would buy a software assurance agreement. Those are typically 2- and 3-year deals. They're per device as opposed to per user. There's a renewal at the end of your contract. There is a seat minimum, and the licensing and deployment motion was very old school. You'd go into VLSC, you would download an image, you would activate through a Mac or a KMS, blah, blah, blah. So on the right-hand side, though, is the modern path and the future for us for volume licensing and licensing in small business, and that's CSP. First of all, everything is per user. We've moved away from per device. We might bring per device back for specialty scenarios, but the default now is per user. And every license gives you 5 devices per user. And in fact, with the new VDI rights, we're actually going to let you use your 5 device allocation across your VMs. So you could have 2 physical devices and 3 VMs. 4 physical devices, 1 VM. 5 VMs and no physical devices. It's up to you to work out how you split that device right across that count of 5. Our billing cycles are monthly. There is technically on paper a 1-year commitment for every subscription in CSP, but I think you guys know that it's kind of not really enforced. So there is kind of realistically month-to-month flexibility. We like to think of it as a 1-year commitment. I'm sure you guys would prefer a 1-year commitment from your customers, but there's a ton of flexibility in CSP. That's one of the benefits of it. We have no seat minimum. Oh, sorry, we have a 1-seat minimum. I guess you can't have a 0-seat minimum. We have a 1-seat minimum. We have no seat max. And then obviously the qualifying OS is now Windows 7 or newer. All right. So why should you add Windows to your managed service offering? So I've got 3 things to tell you. The first thing is that we kind of ran this research to validate it. And what we found is there's 2 stats here in that one sentence. 92% of small businesses have 50 employees or less. So actually businesses, excuse me, not small businesses, businesses. 92% of businesses worldwide have 50 employees or less. If you have 50 employees or less, you are statistically unlikely to have full-time or dedicated IT. So there's the opportunity. The opportunity is 92% of all businesses do not have dedicated IT. So there's the opportunity for you guys, right? So there's your playing field. The second stat is that deploying Windows subscriptions via CSP honestly couldn't be easier. So it's 3 steps. Start with your Windows 10 Pro device. You need to have the anniversary update, Redstone 1 or newer. Add the subscription to CSP. Log into the device. That's it. That's how you deploy a subscription through CSP. And I have a real, like a real-time video, which is showing you how we do it. So here is Windows 10 Pro. Okay, I tried to get a counter in the, to tick along, but I promise you this is like 92 seconds, right? So there you go. This is a Windows 10 Pro device. It is activated via a digital license. So here's how I'm going to convert this Pro device to Enterprise. I'm going to go back to my settings. I'm going to go to Accounts. I'm going to go to Access Work or School. I'm going to hit that big Connect button. I'm going to go slightly towards the bottom where it says Join this device to Azure Active Directory. I'm going to enter in my Azure AD user account. This is a test tenant, but it's, you enter whatever you are, your name at contoso.com. I'm going to hit Next, enter my password. I should have done this faster in hindsight. And there we go. Quick confirmation that, yep, you're going to be joining AD. You're going to be enrolling. Do you want to do that? Yep. OK. I'm now connected. I have 1 step left. Switch accounts or log in. So I'm going to go switch accounts. Because I was in a local account then, I'm going to hit other user. I'm now going to log in with that same email address, that Azure AD account. This is all real time. It's all happening in real time. I recorded it on Friday, so it should all be accurate. There's my password. I hit enter. There is a little bit of the profile creation process that's kind of happening in the back end. That's why you see these kind of little Ubi screens. I think it takes about 20-something seconds. Oh, no, that's it. That's good. Oh, I didn't do a pin, so there you go. Go to a pin. I'm still under 90 seconds for the record. I could have skipped this step if I did a pin earlier. There we go. And that's it. So you can see I'm back in the desktop. Nothing looks different because the actual UX is the same. But I go back into settings. I go to activation. That's it. I'm running Enterprise. That is how you deploy the Enterprise Edition. It's also how you deploy Business, Microsoft 365 Business. Exactly the same process. You start with a Windows 10 Pro device. You add the subscription to the user account in Azure AD. You log back into the device. That's it. 2 minutes. We call it Pro to Enterprise or Pro to Deployed in 2 minutes or less. Sometimes it takes 3 minutes. I've seen it take 3.5. 2 minutes or less. It's pretty good. All right. Third reason is that Windows plus CSP is going to grow your business. This is a bit of a hyperbolic statement. I know I've got some kind of data here. I don't kind of love this, right? So we have like a profitability slide. It's like this staircase thing. It shows you how you add managed services and what the opportunity is. You guys know these numbers. We get these from, we work with research companies who go and talk to you on our behalf and get these numbers, right? So you can tell me if these are real. The top one I know is real because it's basically just SKU margin. So when you sell a license in CSP, there's 20 points of margin baked into the actual SKU that you get month on month per user. And then there's between 8 and 10 points of what they call platform incentives. So it's between 28 and 30% in SKU margin you get per user per month. So at the very least, adding Windows to your managed service offerings, you're getting about an extra 30% of profit margin on your revenue from licensing. But we were very deliberate when we launched Windows in CSP. We structured the support boundaries guidance. So we have this really boring document called the Windows in CSP support boundaries. And we were very, very specific to say that you as the partner, you are not giving management to the customer for free. You are not giving break-fix support for everything for free. There are certain things that are in scope. So you as the partner are responsible for ensuring the subscription does get activated. So you ensure that the subscription in Azure AD is correctly assigned to the user and that the user has logged in correctly and deployed right. So there's kind of a deployment consumption requirement from a support perspective. But if someone sets up Windows Hello and it stops working, you are not obligated to support that for free. Now you're technically obligated to answer the phone or respond to email to say, oh, I've received your request for support, but you are totally within your support boundaries to reply and say, love to help you, here's my price. So I think it's really important to say that because I think there are some partners out there in CSP that perhaps are under the impression, or perhaps we weren't clear enough to say that there are very well-defined support boundaries. And the stuff that are inside the support boundaries is simply about getting the customer to the point where they are consuming what they have purchased, right? So that's about getting enterprise deployed. It's not about setting up device guard. Setting up device guard and managing that is an opportunity for you guys to generate more revenue through managed servicing or project servicing. And then added to that is the opportunity around premium support. And so the last thing I want to show you in terms of just kind of screenshots, this is a little quick walkthrough of how easy it is to get to Windows 10 from Windows 7, right? So would it be accurate to say that everyone has customers still on Windows 7? Windows 7? Lots of nods? Okay. So every single subscription in CSP that has Windows in it, right? So either the standalone Windows subscriptions or Microsoft 365 Business and Enterprise comes with upgrade benefits to Windows 10. Okay, every single one. And so this is how you do it. So this, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, everything starts with upgrade benefits at no extra cost. The upgrade benefits are perpetual. The upgrade licenses are perpetual. Once you have upgraded that device to 10, that license on the device is now a Windows 10 license. It belongs to the device. We do not revoke it. It does mean that you could have a customer sign up for a month, take advantage of the benefit, and cancel. Was that my cue to do something? No? Okay, good. That can happen, right? And I've had partners come up to me and say, hey, I have a customer, they want to sign up for 1 month, get the Windows 10 upgrade, and then they want to cancel. There's actually nothing stopping them doing that. But I don't get the revenue from that seat. You don't get the revenue from that seat. If you have a customer that signs up for 1 month and you just get $7 per user, sure, they're on Windows 10, but now you're not getting that extra licensing revenue and the opportunity for managed servicing on top. So can it happen? Yes. I don't think it's in anyone's interest to kind of support that behavior, but yes, it can. The upgrade process is very simple. It's in place. I'll show it to you in a second. We have that 99% compatible for Windows 7 apps. And then Windows 7 support ends January 2020, which feels like a long way away. It's not really, if you think about how long it takes to migrate, especially larger, more complex customers. When you log into Office 365, and if you have an account with admin privileges, you see the admin portal, and this is the little widget that you go to start the upgrade. And let me show you what the upgrade looks like. This video should kind of go through it. So here we go, Windows 7. I ran this in a VM, but it's Windows 7 Pro. Here's system, Windows 7 Pro, Service Pack 1's installed. Should all be, activated. Get some water. Okay, I'm going to go into the Office 365 Business Portal, Office 365 admin. I'm logged in with that same user account, which is actually an admin account. So this is my Azure AD account, but it's an admin account. And then I can see that admin tab down there, and I'm going to open the admin. For some reason, this didn't render correctly in Windows 7, but that's fine. There's that widget. I've got 4 options. install the upgrade on this machine, or upgrade this machine I'm on right now, share the upgrade instructions and the link via email, so you can just send it out to the users on your network. Create installation media or troubleshoot. I'm gonna actually upgrade this machine. So I click that. It takes me to the download Windows 10 tool. Hopefully everyone's seen this page. I'm going to click that button. I'm going to run the download tool. UAC pops up. Hello, UAC. And then hopefully you've all seen this. This is the Windows 10 installer, right? So I'm going to go through the Windows 10 installing process now. I have sped this up. So in theory, this should take like a few seconds, although it seems to be going on forever. Oh, that's right. So I'm gonna select upgrade this PC now, right? Because the other option is to create a bootable USB key or to create an ISO. I don't want to do that. Here we go. So I'm going through. There should be some like hilarious music playing right now. Yeah, can you hear it? Yeah. I had the Benny Hill theme playing. I thought that's how you do it. So there you go. Blah, 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 blah. You guys have seen all this. Cool, cool, cool. This took 36 minutes. I timed it. So from the beginning up until this point, I'm in the desktop, 36 minutes. And so here we go. I've loaded the desktop for the first time. I'm going into settings, activation. You can look at the top, Windows 10 Pro, and Windows 10 Pro is activated. 36 minutes. Hooray! I'm going to take all of the credit for all of that, except for our amazing engineering team. I'm going to take it from them. So it really couldn't be easier. Now, you do two things from that point, and let me see if the next video is there. Oops. Oh, no, it wasn't there. Is this the next video? Hang on, because there's one more video. The next question is, OK, so how do I go and deploy my... Whoops. OK, we missed that video. The next question is, you know, how do I go and deploy my enterprise subscription or my Microsoft 365 business? And you go back to the previous video I showed you. It's that 2-minute install process. So in theory, 36 minutes, give or take another 2 or 3, and you've gone from Windows 7 Pro to Windows 10 with an enterprise subscription. In theory, less than an hour. Now, there's more to it than that, obviously. You know, I didn't have a complex apps, settings. You know, I think I might have had Office installed on that VM, but there wasn't much more on there. So your mileage will vary. Don't think that this is a 39-minute process for every single customer in every scenario, but it is easy. So if you say to a customer, I'm going to get you on Windows 10, and they're like, oh, I do not want to do a Windows 10 deployment project. Can we at least wait till January 19th, 2020? Say, no, no, no. This is nowhere near as complex as you think it is. So why should you add Windows 10 to your managed servicing, and why should you do it via CSP? 90% or 92% of SMBs need you guys. They don't have IT. They need a partner. So there's your opportunity, 92% of SMBs. We now have a Windows subscription that we feel we have an offering Microsoft-wide, including Windows, that has full coverage over the segment. So it doesn't matter how big your customer is, how complex they are, we have a subscription that's right for them. It's either Microsoft 365 Business or Microsoft 365 Enterprise, or if you want to go a la carte, we have tons of options if you want to unpack that. The third is that adding Windows to your managed servicing offerings is profitable. As I said before, you're going to make about 28 to 30% profit margin on the actual SKU simply by selling the SKU. We were very deliberate in the support boundaries to make sure that you were not on the hook for expensive things, expensive break-fix support in the actual OS. And so really, opportunity, coverage, and the opportunity to add managed servicing through having a very deliberate support boundaries document really means if you're not selling Windows through CSP, if you're not adding it to all your managing servicing agreements, you're kind of losing money. You're leaving money on the table, excuse me. I hate that phrase. They made me put that in there. You're leaving money on the table. It just feels like, you know, hi, I'm Vern Funk. Come buy a used car from me. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so what now? Grab these URLs. Hopefully, I see some of you are taking photos, so you'll get them from there. Learn more about Windows in CSP. Go to drumbeat.windows.com. We have lots of great sales and marketing interactive tools up there to learn more about the opportunity for Windows in CSP. Go and learn about Microsoft 365 Business. That's the online training. There's lots of great resources there. Go down to the booth. Go get a demo. Go sign up for the partner trial. Again, it's free. It's free through to GA. So you could sign up your 295 or 300 seat customer on August 2nd, and they'll get Microsoft 365 Business for free until we get through to GA, and then it would just transfer over to the paid product, or if they don't like it, they can turn it off. And then we've got great marketing materials, including this deck, up on aka.ms/WIN9CSP. And then make sure you are in contact with your local Microsoft team. Make sure you know who your PSE is, and you find out about the Windows Tech Series, which will soon become the Microsoft 365 Tech Series. This is in-person technical training that we run all around the world to make sure that everyone knows about how to deploy, how to manage, and how to configure Windows. Is everyone here already a CSP? Who's not a CSP and is kind of contemplating being a CSP? So everyone's a CSP. That's great. Vincent, you're not a CSP?
Tier 1 now.
You're a Tier 1 CSP? No, indirect. We'll talk. Oh, that's right, yeah. We've had this conversation. I know why. We'll talk more. And then, yeah, more questions. I actually have to run to the booth for another session. I'll stay for a few minutes while I throw socks at you all. But if you have more questions, come down to the booth and we can chat more. And actually, my colleague Jag's here. So if anyone that has questions around VDI, where's Jag? Jag's here. If anyone has questions around the virtualization announcement, so the VDI rights in CSP and how this new qualified multi-tenant hosting program works, come see Jag. He is wearing a very trendy paperboy cap, so you can see him in the back seat there. I think that's it. So I'm going to throw some socks. Are there any questions? Yes, first question. So you can use Autopilot with just an AAD premium subscription, but the best way to do it's going to be with 365 Business. You get socks. Questions? Just socks? Do you want me to throw them, or you want to come get the socks? I like throwing socks. Oh yeah, Jared, my plant from the Microsoft office in Canada. Thank you.
I'm from Toronto.
Yep.
I'm polite, so thank you for being here, and go Justin Trudeau. When we launched Microsoft 365, and I keep defaulting to BCS, that was the code name.
Codename BCS.
Is Business Cloud Suite. But Microsoft 365, and Satya did a great job on stage. We did a session for Canadian partners yesterday, and one thing that I wanted to add to that, and perhaps it's something that can tickle your fancy, is it starts at the device. Right? We talk about these new devices. So we show the productivity, security, and those beautiful 4 lines. And then I added to the slide the devices underneath, because that's the bedrock to make this stuff light up.
Right.
So if you're not in the devices business, a huge refresh wave is coming with the Intel Gen 7 devices. So as you consider your managed services, I would consider how you get the device as part of that, so when you're delivering that suite, it really truly becomes that modern desktop delivery from you guys. We can't lose sight of how important the device is in this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Jared. That's great. And we actually have a little pod in the Windows booth talking about device as a service. HP's there, Dell's there. I think the Surface guys are coming by. They're talking about how are they evolving their channel programs, how are they evolving their go-to-market to be able to help you guys deliver new devices in the same way you would sell on a subscription. So, I mean, you could think of it as a payment plan, but you could think of it also as a way to align the per user, per month pricing mechanism with which we're selling in subscriptions with new hardware. I'll be very honest, we don't have a fully fleshed out story there yet. Haven't really solved all the complexities of how do you sell device through channel as a service, like in a one-to-one relationship with CSP. We're going to get there. But if you want to learn more, go and see the device as a service guys down in the Windows booth. So, yes, sir.
Is Autopilot available for business and enterprise?
It is, yes. All it requires is the Windows 10 Pro device, RS2 or newer, which is the Creators Update, and Azure Active Directory Premium, or Microsoft 365 Business. And AAD Premium comes in Microsoft 365 Enterprise. Right now? I don't know.
For a small business with 30 seats.
Yep. Jared's asking how many businesses have AAD already. There's a microphone right there.
I'm sorry, Nick.
Yeah, there you go.
So my experience in Canada, when we have these conversations with some of our small businesses, is Azure Active Directory in itself is an unknown. Are you guys facing that as well? So how do we get over that barrier and say you need Azure Active Directory, and your customer, who's like, holy jeez, what does that even mean?
Yeah, so
So how do we, what's that step-up plan or the education plan to get there?
I would say don't educate. I would say if your customer wants to know about Azure Active Directory and you want to inform them, awesome. We need to make sure you have the tools. But when you go to market with Microsoft 365 Business, it includes Azure Active Directory. I don't think you need to sell Azure Active Directory. I think you sell the power of the cloud. I think you sell the power of not having to rely on on-prem infrastructure, on-prem solutions. You can sell the simplicity, the flexibility of having everything up in the cloud and the fact that it just works. So, but I think it's a great question. So where are the barriers that you guys are seeing? Are you seeing people saying like, I don't want to put my identity in the cloud? I know in Germany, I know in countries where they have interesting kind of complexities around data sovereignty, especially ID sovereignty, the notion of putting my user account, my user files in the cloud, especially if that cloud is outside the borders of my country. I know there's some complexity there. We need to go solve that. We feel like we have a good story. I think is anyone from Germany in the room? Fantastic, because I don't know anything about Black Forest, other than that's a pretty cool code name. But yeah, so are you guys seeing customers push back and say, I don't want to go to the cloud, or the cloud scares me?
Yeah. Well, we've got people who've got on-prem Active Directory.
Right.
So it introduces some complexity if they're logging into the Azure Active Directory as their default login.
Yep.
To pass those credentials back through.
So
Start setting up LDAPs and connections between the internal Active Directories, and then you'll always get somebody who's got a 2003 server.
So this is where I'd like you guys to keep me honest and keep us honest, because the question I always ask is, if you're a small business and you have on-prem Azure Active Directory, why do you have on-prem Azure Active Directory? Like what is it that you need from an on-prem identity controller that you can't do in the cloud? And I kind of, it's a genuine question. Like what are some scenarios that you're seeing where the answer to that question is, no, I need to be able to do A, B, and C?
Legacy applications.
Okay.
And a Azure Active Directory domain services isn't available on CSP yet because something with you can't provision it on the ARM.
If you want to spin up a private AAD instance, is that what you mean?
Yeah, so the extension of Azure Active Directory into Azure Active Directory domain services, you can't do that on ARM. You have to use the old portal, and that's not available on CSP.
Physical device to that anyway. That's for Azure.
Yeah, but you stick the servers inside of Azure, then they join that, and then all the workstations are joined to Azure Active Directory.
But but why would you do that and not just take advantage of the public Azure Active Directory?
Because you can't join a legacy application / Windows server to Azure Active Directory.
Okay, so it's legacy support. So it all comes down to legacy support. I have some app, service, database, something that my business relies on that I haven't modernized that relies on the old stuff. Is that the majority, or is that a niche? Is that a smaller and smaller segment?
It's healthcare and government.
I'll give you socks.
I'll take more.
It's mainly in healthcare and government, you'll see it. Legacy
Okay.
applications, definitely.
Well, then here's what I'd say. Let me know how I can help you. There's an engineering component, and I can be your voice to take that feedback to our engineering team and work out how we make the product better. But then if a lot of it sounds like it could be part of it education, like really kind of providing the information both to you guys and your sellers and to your customers as to why they should be modernizing and moving away from the on-prem stuff and moving away from legacy. Now, if it's regulatory, that's a different case.
It's mainly regulatory for a part, and it's the business needs to upgrade their applications. But that's not something you can do. It's the application builder
Okay.
where a company works.
Well, look, I should have it here on the final slide. I don't, but my email, it's just Nic Phil, same as my Twitter handle at Microsoft.com. If you hear, like if the stuff that I'm telling doesn't make sense, if there's a big giant hole in it, if you need some kind of support from us, whether it's guidance to our engineering teams or just help in building better go-to-market assets, please let me know. That's my job. And I'll just ask Jared to do it next time I see him.
I have 2 questions for you, sorry.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Please, Vincent.
2 questions.
You're only getting 1 pair of socks, though.
Okay, no problem. Can you mix and match the SKUs
Yes.
in one program? Okay. And when?
Actually, sorry, give me that example. I want to make sure I answer that correctly.
Mixing the names up. Windows Business, Microsoft 365 Business,
Yep.
and Microsoft 365 Enterprise.
They can coexist in the same tenant, yes.
Cool. Last question.
Yep.
When will it be available in CSP Tier 2?
In theory, you have a very unique situation. In theory, there should be no delta between when it's like we don't do tiered releases, but you have. I know your situation's kind of. Yeah. So the question is, when will your indirect provider have it? Is that the question? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. We're getting there.
The question is, this is available if you're a Tier 1 partner. So if
Okay.
the new, which you wrote a blog on that.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally
So
wrote
you have
all
to
those
be
words myself.
shared computing activation, that part.
Yep.
So if you don't have that, but you still have shared, you have your own data center,
Okay.
you want to have a shared computing activation, but on your own data center without being Tier 1 partner, because
Oh,
you don't want to do
this-
the cloud
Absolutely.
billing.
This is the question. Socks, gentlemen? No? No, you don't want socks? They're super cool, man. Check out the socks. Jag, we have a question for you. You, me, and Vincent. We're gonna
Okay,
talk.
we'll take this offline then.
Yeah,
because I'm the only one which is not Tier 1.
We are at time. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to be in the Windows booth for more questions. Come and grab socks. Oh, one more question. Yes.
Can you expect MDOT coming to?
Question was about MDOP. The answer is yes-ish. The goal is actually to not need MDOP to be an external suite, but to, because we brought AppV and UEV in box. So, right, so working on it, the goal is to not have to have it be a separate thing, but to have it part of the subscription, part of the edition. I don't have a time frame though.